Waiting, yes, someone. Hello, ladies. Guess what? It's Natural Medicine Week in Australia, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate. So celebrate it in this conversation that we're about to have, because it's actually a one-sided conversation, isn't it? Because I'm the only one speaking, unless someone says hello in the comments. Yeah, because this is exactly what natural medicine does that conventional medicine often can't. It's to look at the whole picture. So today's conversation is really an important one to tune in, pay attention, because over the last few weeks, we've talked about insulin resistance, rising cholesterol, visceral fat, inflammation, rising blood pressure, fatty liver, cortisol and burnout, thyroid dysfunction. And I think for many women, it can start feeling like, oh, great. I have another thing wrong with me. But this is the part I really want women to understand today. These symptoms are not random. Your body didn't just pluck them off a shopping list, okay? Your body is usually telling you one story through many symptoms. It's kind of like, as I say, the body taps, and if you don't listen, it gets louder and louder. So you might have one symptom, you ignore it, you band-aid it, and then it creates another. All right, so one of the biggest things that I see in clinic is women being sent to different practitioners for different body parts. A thyroid conversation, maybe with your endocrinologist, a cholesterol conversation with the cardiologist, the blood pressure conversation, the weight conversation, the menopause conversation. Meanwhile, the body doesn't work in departments. We're not a sum of the parts, right? We works as one connected system. So I often explain it like this. Your symptoms are like warning lights on the dash of your car, right? One light says check engine, another light says oil pressure. Mine at the moment is saying tire pressure. Another one says you check your battery. Women are trying to fix each warning light separately without realizing the whole engine underneath, we'll lift the bonnet, underneath is under strain. That's what I see so often in midlife. So think about it. If your dashboard in your car's lights going everywhere and you just replace a fuse or whatever, there's a reason, and you've got to look under the bonnet to see what it is, right? Because the belly fat, the blood pressure, the rising cholesterol, the fatigue, the brain fog, the fatty liver, the insulin resistance, the thyroid drag, the cortisol overload, often part of the same metabolic stress pattern. And one thing I see all the time in clinic is women who have folders full of borderline results. On the higher end, the upper level of okay, the lower level of acceptable range. Not sick enough to get answers, but not functioning well either. And over time, another symptom appears. Another medication gets suggested. Another body system starts struggling. Meanwhile, nobody has explained the pattern underneath it all. So honestly, clinically, there's a term called metabolic syndrome. But honestly, I prefer the language around calling it metabolic inflexibility, because what I see is women whose bodies have lost flexibility under pressure. The body that is no longer adapting smoothly to stress, to blood sugar fluctuations, to hormonal shifts, to poor sleep, to inflammation, to modern lifestyle overload. And eventually symptoms start showing up everywhere. It's like also how many women I speak to that say they hit 50 and I can't swear, but the expression is, their F bucket is overflowing. They just don't want to accept the behavior, accept the expectations anymore. They're not going to. They're not going to tolerate it. But neither is your body, right? Not just your mind. right? And as I say, symptoms will start appearing mentally, emotionally, physically. And then we put menopause on top of that. Everyone that's been here for a while say that I liken it to life creates the cracks and menopause shines the torch through those cracks to show you what was already there. It didn't create the cracks, right? Menopause changes the entire equation though. For years, estrogen and progesterone were doing a great job and they buffered a lot of things. They buffered insulin sensitivity, blood vessels, inflammation, stress resilience, fat distribution. Then those hormones begin declining and suddenly belly fat increases, blood pressure creeps up, cholesterol shifts, sleep worsens, stress hits harder, recovery drops. And then women often say, I feel like my body has changed overnight. They also say, I feel like my body's working against me. Honestly, physiologically, it did kind of change overnight, but not overnight. There's been the quiet creep and you just haven't heard it. You haven't heard those symptoms. And then we lay a chronic stress on top of that. And this is another thing I see constantly: high functioning women surviving on cortisol for years. And I know there's a few of you who will be listening to this because you've asked for the replay. I just going to just check if there's anyone watching live who this I could just name. I could list a few of you right now where that is really, really evident with what you're presenting with. Okay. That you're surviving on cortisol for years, pushing through exhaustion, ignoring warning signs, living in constant go mode until midlife removes that hormonal buffer and suddenly the body can't compensate to the same way anymore. Then there's the thyroid, right? The thyroid often becomes another amplifier. Metabolism slows. Hello, ladies. Hi, Sharon. Metabolism slows, weight becomes resistant, energy drops further, women feel colder, flatter, foggier. Again, not random, but connected. Then there's the liver connection. Right? The liver starts struggling with increased metabolic load. We see fatty liver, elevated liver enzymes, inflammation, poor detoxification, worsening insulin resistance. Again, same story. And honestly, I think many women quietly blame themselves for a pattern their body has been adapting to for years. They think they're lazy. They think they lack discipline. They just need another diet, another supplement, another challenge, when often the body is simply overloaded. Hands up if you've joined a 4-week HIIT program at the local gym, right? All these push your body more things. This is why I'm always saying the order matters too. And it's not about adding more on. No. Because women cannot out supplement chronic stress. You can't out supplement poor sleep, metabolic overload, nervous system dysregulation, inflammation, years of depletion. The beautiful thing, the body is incredibly adaptable when women stabilize blood sugar, reduce inflammation, support muscle, calm the nervous system, improve sleep, nourish properly, stop punishing themselves. Multiple symptoms often improve together. Not because we chased each symptom individually or separately, because we supported the system underneath it all. One thing I've learned both personally and clinically is women usually know when something feels off long before it becomes obvious on paper. And I think women are exhausted from trying to solve problems or solve the symptoms one by one, separately, without anyone helping them understand the whole picture. I just did a report or start of a report for a lady who's come into my program and explaining we've got to instead of trying to heal from the outside in, we're going to heal from the inside out. So instead of putting more supplements from the outside, more load from the outside, we're actually going to start by working from her inside, the way she thinks, the way she talks to herself, the nourishment, the absorption. For her is more that nutrient absorption. She may or may not be putting it, you know, from the outside in the food, but is her body absorbing it once it gets in there, right? So we have to look at the whole picture and know where to start. So today I really want women to remember, I want all of you to remember, your body is not random. Your symptoms are patterns. Your body does not work in separate departments. We don't naturopathically, and in reality, your body doesn't outsource, right, to the cardiology, to the nephrology, to the urology. Right? And it's a group of systems that work together. Right? Menopause amplifies metabolic states and metabolic stress, and this is not a moral failing on your behalf, it's physiology. So if you're listening today thinking, oh my God, that's me, then this is where personalized support actually matters, because the next step is not another random fix, not a random pill, powder, potion. Okay? It's a roadmap. And understanding your body, where the flaws lie, okay, where the gaps are, that's when you need a roadmap, but you have to identify the gaps first. Right? So I do have a quiz. I've got 2 different quizzes, but I've got a really quick one. It's called the Symptom Decoder. So it's a bit of a map. So if you want to comment map underneath this video, and I'll send you something that helps you start mapping your own picture. Okay. You can message me privately. Not everyone wants their names seen. Right. Or if you want to talk about what's happening for you and what support might look like for you, you know there are gaps. You don't need to do another quiz question form, right? But you want to talk about where you're at and what might be able to help you get to where you want to be. You can always book a call with me, and it's called a health clarity call, and we can start mapping your picture properly. Your body has been adapting to stress, to hormones, and modern life for years. Your body today is not what your body was 10 years ago. So stop trying to, treat it like you did 20 years ago. Once you see the pattern, nothing feels random anymore. So I was trained, all my training, 40 years of clinical experience, right? I've trained to see what others miss. And what's been missed in most midlife women is the pattern underneath it all, the pattern under the symptoms. All right, ladies, hope this has helped you get the big picture from what I've been going through the last 8 weeks, I think it is. And also just to let you know, I am going to be running a gentle challenge next week, starting Monday. If you haven't seen the posts, if you haven't got the email, let me know and I'll get the registration link over to you. Any questions, any comments, feel free to pop them in below this video. If you want that quiz, just say map. If you want the reset, if you want to join the 5-day reset challenge next week, type reset. If you want to have a chat, type chat. Just make it easy for me to know what it is you want. Okay, ladies, or answer your DMs and we can get you sorted where you're at and what you want to look at next.